Hey people, it's time! Welcome to The Tribe, a space created for us by us. I'm your host, Fathia, and I am so glad you're here. Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of The Tribe podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you're okay. I'm here in Montreal and it's sunny, so I feel happy recording this episode, and I really hope you're gonna enjoy it. Please let me know. It's a first for me, and any critics is welcome. Actually, it's gonna help me doing this better. So, for our first episode, I wanted to talk about something that has been sitting heavy on my heart, but also giving me hope. I want to talk about something that I've witnessed online, in real life, on Instagram, long Twitter rants, etc. And it's the unspoken tension between continental Africans, Afro-descendants from the Caribbean, the Americas, the diaspora in general. Even for people like me who were born in France from continental African parents. Why does sometimes it feel like we are on opposite sides of a debate about who gets to claim Africa? And why is there pain, judgment, or even shame, actually, for some people when we talk about identity and belonging? Today's episode is called We Don't Have to Be Identical to Be United. And I chose that title. I really love that title, actually. But I chose it because I think it's time we let go of this idea that unity requires sameness. It doesn't. The beauty of the Black word, in fact, whether you are in Lagos, Kingston, Bahia, Atlanta, or Paris, is in our differences. Our languages, our music, our memories, our magic. All shaped by history. All valid. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the roots of this divide, the misunderstandings that fuel it, and the possibilities that come from truly seeing one another with love and respect. So grab a cup of tea, a glass of wine, light a candle if you're in the mood, and let's get into it. Because we might not be identical, but we are still family. The idea of doing this episode was when I saw a post on TikTok where an African American took her phone to record herself saying that continental Africans were jealous of African Americans because they were more evolved, more sophisticated, less poor, blah, blah, blah. The comment section was a war zone, obviously. I went straight to the comments to see comments that really gave me a headache. Africans think they're better than us. Black Americans are lost. Caribbeans and African. And I saw like another post, like maybe 2 or 3 days after, where a beautiful content creator from Guyana was like talking about a food she used to eat back home, and people from Guyana call it a certain way. In the comment section, there were people from West Africa saying that that's not the real name. Why are you copying? Blah, blah, blah. And it was ridiculous, to be honest. It was ridiculous. So I said, like, okay, maybe the first episode of the Tribe podcast should be about this. Of course, I know that this is not all of us thinking that way, but there is a majority of people that believe that we are divided, and like trying to hurt one another with those mean things, they say to each other. And we're doing it in front of all those people, they're Europeans and everything. They see us fighting each other over those stupid things. I see a lot of Afro-descendants reconnecting with Africa, physically going back to the continent. And others have never even lost any mental connection with Africa. Africa still lives through them. By the way, I have a little anecdote from one of my recent trips to Colombia. I fell in love with the country, the people, but I will dedicate one episode to this actually. What I wanted to tell you about this is when I went to Palenque. It's a little village of approximately 4,000 inhabitants, if my notes from my visit are correct. And the guide there, Sofia, she told us about, the religion of the Palenqueros and how it was a mix of the Yoruba religion, Christianity, and other beliefs. And there's a thing that she said that lives rent-free in my head, and is that heaven for them means to go back to Africa. When I heard that, it moved me. I was like, okay, how can they have this dream of, going back to Africa when they die, when we are here having this tension on socials about who belongs and who is better and blah, blah, blah. So before we dive deeper into the conversation, I wanted to talk about why this divide exists in the first place. Because it didn't just happen overnight, as you know. It's not just about attitudes or pride between us. It's about history, trauma, and survival. First, the roots. During the transatlantic slave trade, over 12 million Africans were kidnapped and shipped across the oceans. Torn from their homes, their languages, their names, their family. During the Arab slave trade, it was estimated about 10 to 18 millions. And what happened in that moment was a violent separation, not just physically, but spiritually and culturally. There was a saying that I heard, I don't want to be incorrect, but I heard from the guide in Palenque. It was kill the Negroes, not the man. Meaning that they wanted to kill everything that was inside our ancestors, their identity, but not them, because they needed them for work. And while Africans on the continent continued to fight colonization, those in the Americas, the Caribbean, were forced to build entirely new identities from scratch, actually, in places where their blackness was crime. Then came the colonial stories. European powers didn't just steal people, they planted lies. Lies that Africans were primitive, lies that Afro-descendants were savages, lies that divided us and made us suspicious of each other. And over time, those stories got passed down in school, in churches, in families. I remember in my family or in my friend's family, sometimes they say oh, you should be careful to those people, that they're talking about black people. You should be careful of those people, they are liars or they steal or they are sorcerers, things like that. It's incredible. Fast forward to today, you'll hear pain in both directions. From the Caribbean to the continent, from the Americas to Europe, Afro-descendants have been separated not just by geography, but by myth. If you confront the stories that divide us, Africans sold us, Caribbeans don't claim Africa, diasporans think they're better, and we're not recognized as African, it's time to clear the smoke and start the healing. Let's talk about Africans sold us. There was a power imbalance, and this is something that is often forgotten here. The real enemy wasn't Africans. It was the system of European colonialism and racial capitalism that turned millions of people into property. Yes, some Africans were complicit, but that doesn't absolve the system that created the Atlantic slave economy. It lasted for centuries and left scars, and we still live with it today. This narrative persists to create division, and it works. Now, if we talk about the Caribbeans don't claim Africa, diasporans think they're better. On the one side, some Africans may feel that the Afro-descendants only claim Africa when it's trendy, without knowing the languages, the customs, and the daily realities of the continent. There's a feeling of you weren't here, you don't really know. And on the other side, many black folks in the diaspora feel judged or even rejected when they try to reconnect with Africa. They say, we didn't leave Africa. Africa was taken from us. Don't treat us like outsiders in a story that started with us too. Enslaved Africans were cut off from their ancestral nations and lineage. So they rerouted themselves in new lands, creating new identities. You have the Afro-Americans, African-Americans, the Afro-Caribbeans like Haitians, Jamaican, Trinidadians, Puerto Rican, etc. They're mixed with the native people in those new lands, and it created new identities. It's not just labels, they are nations within nations, built on survival, creativity, cultural fusion. Afro-descendants made new languages, le patois, le créole, Spanglish, etc. New spiritual systems as well. Their culture, were invented under oppression. An identity that is not African, but not African either, if you know what I mean. It's something in between. For the ones like me that were born in a Western country, we are often called names because we were not born back home, I have discussed this with many of my friends that were born in France and that were not taught the languages. Thank God we have always been around our culture growing up. For me, for example, whether it's from my mother's side or with my father, eating our food, listening to our music, really close to our culture and really proud. But when we go back home, we are called names. Like, I know like people from the Congo, because I have a lot of friends from the Congo. They call them Monapoto. Kids from France, I think it means something like that. It hurts, it hurts really. Because we're not going to discuss our Africanity, We are African. Our parents are from the continent. I know that it doesn't always come from a bad place, and that they don't mean harm necessarily, but it's distractions. Because the truth is that we are all survivors of the same system, just in different forms. And when we argue about who's more African and who's doing it right, doing it better, we're missing the point. We have all inherited different pieces of the same broken mirror. And what we need now isn't judgment, it's reconnection, respect, and listening. Because even if our journeys have been different, the root is the same. And like I said at the top of this episode, we don't have to be identical to be united. We have to see the beauty between us, what we have in common, the shared rhythm, the love for music, the resilience. It's funny because one time I sent a message to all of my friends, my black friends. They're from different part of the world. And I asked them why they were proud to be black. And all of them in like their text had the word resilience. And I was so proud because that's the truth. We are resilient. We have in common our ancestral memories, our habits. When I was in Colombia, I was like taking pictures of the food that I was eating there, even in Puerto Rico. And I sent the pictures to my father and he was like, this is the same food that I eat back home. Despite the distance, despite the different flags, accent, passports, we are all connected. Not by force, but by a rhythm. The shared rhythm, the love for music. This is something that I really love to talk about when I talk about something that connects us, black people from all around the world. Whether it's Afrobeat, dancehall, samba, gospel, la plena, soca, blues, la salsa, compa, we move with the same pulse. Our music isn't just entertainment, it's survival, it's storytelling. It's joy in defiance of everything that tried to silence us. It reminds me of a beautiful scene in the new Ryan Coogler's movie, Sinners. The scene where everybody's dancing and you can feel the trance and all like parts of black music. Yeah, you have the West African dance, you have the blues, the hip hop, everything all mixed together. We make one. And I really love that scene because this is a scene that could like be a representation of what I am trying to say today. What connects us is more than pain. It's power. We're united not only because of what we suffered, but because of what we've survived and what we continue to build. We may speak different tongues and live under different flags, but the language of resilience is one we all understand. It is our inheritance from our common ancestors. It's our connection. Despite colonization, slavery, racial violence, and erasure, Afro-descendant people have always found ways to endure, create, and rise. It doesn't matter if it's in America, Africa, from all around the world. It's the way we cook, it's the way we love, it's the way we dance. We have that in common. It's the grandmothers who raised nations, the revolutionaries who defied empires, people in Latin America, people in America, people in Africa. Everywhere we are in the world, we all have people who have fought for us to be united. Whether you're a black person in Bahia, Barbados, Brooklyn, Bamako, your very being is evidence of resistance. You are part of a long line of people who refused to die in despair, who made beauty out of brokenness, who kept dreaming in spite of systems designed to erase them. This is what we have in common. This is why we have to be united and to fight together. But to be honest, I'm so optimistic about the future because there are a lot of us doing something towards unity. I learned so much from different content creators on TikTok. I see connections getting created with our people from all around the world. I see our stories getting told with our words, with our truth, where we can learn and discover more about the things we have in common. And instead of fighting each other, being together and fight against the system that is against us, actually. I can really picture a future where we can all braid our stories together, and I'm really happy about it. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me for this powerful conversation. If there's one thing to carry forward, I think it's this. Our differences don't weaken us. They expand us. Whether we speak different languages, pray in different ways, or come from different corners of the diaspora, our shared history, our hopes connect us. Unity doesn't mean uniformity. It means choosing solidarity over suspicion and curiosity over judgment. We are many stories, many rhythms, many shades, and that's okay because we are one tribe. So until next time, keep asking questions and keep building bridges because we're stronger together. And before you go, I want to leave you with this. What assumption or bias have you held? Maybe even quietly, like inside of you, about other members of our global Black community? And what would it take for you to challenge them so we can come closer together? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed your time here for this first episode. This is the Tribe Podcast. I'm Fathia, your host, and I'll see you soon.